Good afternoon. I'm Dr. E. Alice Nithya from the Department of Software Engineering. In today's session, you will be seeing uh, how to initialize a structure, how to declare a structure variable, how to use type-def in structure, and how to access the members of a structure. Before going deep into the concepts, first we should know what a structure is. Suppose I have a collection of data items of different data types. Then how can I group them together? So how will they be logically related under a single entity name? For example, I want to create a data of type student. Uh, for the particular data, I need to have a name entity. I need to have a registration number entity. I need to have marks entity. I need to have date of birth entity. So how can I group these four entities under a single name? So what is the solution for it? The solution is structures. Basically, structure is a user-defined data type. So I can declare a group of entities under a common name, or I can create collection of different data items under a common name. And this can be called as a structure. So the size of the structure will be determined based on the individual entities present in the structure. So the formal definition for what a structure is, it is a collection of variables of different data types under a single name. So you can find, as I told in the previous example, there can be any data. Name can be a character array, your register number can be a number, marks can be float variable. Likewise, you can have any type of data type and you can group it under a single name. And for this group, you can call that as a structure variable. Okay. So the variables that you are creating are called the members of the structures. So the variables here is name, register number, marks. So these are called as members of the structure. So whatever data types you have seen previously, all are predefined data types. Whereas your structure is a user-defined data type. You're creating your own data, or you're going to create your own data type according to the need of the problem. That is why we call this as user-defined data type. So general syntax of a structure declaration is as follows. The keyword we use to declare a structure is struct, followed by giving a name to the structure. So there should be a keyword called as struct, followed by a name given to it. Okay. So here, so I'm going to create different members for the structure. Already we have seen the variables of a structure can be called as members of the structure. That's why I've mentioned it as member variable 1, member variable 2. And this member variable can be of any data type. I can have any number of variables. Okay. So, and then I should end it with the semicolon. Okay. So struct is the keyword I'm going to use, followed by a name to the structure. So we normally should give a name that is more reasonable while you use the particular structure. Okay. For example, if I'm going to create a structure to maintain student records, then I can give a name as students. If I'm going to create a structure to maintain different books in a library, then I can give a name book. Or if I'm going to maintain details about a particular class, then I can name it as class. Like this, I need to give a valid name for a structure. Okay? And correspondingly, the member variable as well. Okay? So there are different ways you can declare the structure. Okay, this is one way. So in the second way, what I can give is, I can create the I should use the keyword struct followed by giving a name to it. Then I will open up the curly braces, enter the who are members I require for the structure. I will close the curly braces, but before putting the semicolon, I need to give whatever structure variables I will be requiring for this particular structure. Structure variable in the sense, for example, here I said I'm going to create the structure for student. Okay, so first variable will be name, then I'm going to create register number, and then first I will create character name of say 10 type, then int register number, then int float marks. Okay, so now this is a common structure for all the students. Now, for individual students, I need to create this. That is, what is that individual variable is called as a structure variable. For example, I can have student 1, student 2, student 3, like that. I can have n number of students. Okay? So each student 1 will have this common structure type. Student 2 will have this common structure type. That is, student 1 will have a name, register number, and marks field. Student 2 will have name, register number, and marks. Student 3 will have name, register number, and marks, and so on. So this variables also you can give here itself. If I'm not going to give the structure variable here, I have to give it inside the main program. Normally you will declare your variables, right? So in that part, you have to declare the structure variables also, if I am not going to give the structure variables here. Okay. So this is the general syntax of a structure declaration. So I need to use a struct keyword followed by structure name. Okay. And then I have to open the curly braces, and then whatever data type I require, I have to give the data type followed by the variable name. Okay. Then I have to close it with a semicolon. Or another method is, I can even declare the structure variables while I declare my structure itself. Okay. So the structure variables or can be declared at the closed curly braces. After the closed curly braces, you can give the structure variable names. Okay. And then you can put a semicolon. I have given few examples here. So one is I try to create a structure for a book. So in a book, what are we going to do? So here I'm going to create a structure for say type book. Okay, then the book will have a name. It will have a price. It can have number of pages. Okay. So name I can have up to 20 size. So this is a character array. Then price can be a floating point variable, so I'm declaring it as a float variable. Then pages can be a integer variable, so I'm declaring it as int variable. Okay, then I'm closing the curly braces with a semicolon. Okay. So similarly, I can create another structure called a student. Okay. The student can have different number of variables. So name, character array, roll number, integer, marks, floating point variable, then gender as a character variable. So I can mention simply M or F like that. Okay. So and phone number as int. Okay. Another structure for a student database, student detail can be something like this. In a integer form, I can create ID, character array name, and floating point variable as percentage. Okay. So now, how to declare the structure variable. Now I have seen how a structure can be declared. Now, how am I going to use this structure in my program? Okay, so the created or the declared structure can be used inside your program by creating variables for this particular structure. Just like how you create pages as an integer variable, price as a float variable, likewise, I'm going to create book 1, book 2 as a structure book or a structure book variable. Okay, so there are two ways here. I can either declare it inside my main program like this. I can say struct book, book 1, comma book 2, or else while I declare the structure itself, as we have already seen in the generic syntax, you can mention the structure variable name with a comma separator. Okay, so book 1, comma book 2, like this. Okay, so these are the different ways to create variables for the structure. Okay. So now I have declared a structure, okay, with different types of data or data items. Then I have declared the variables also to access the items, data items present in my structure. Now, by using this variable, how am I going to call the data items, or how am I going to call the members of the structure? Okay. For accessing the members of the structure, we have to use a dot operator. It is also called as a period operator or member access operator. Okay. So the general syntax will be something like this. I can see I have created variable called as book1 of type structure book. So now when I want to access the name of the book, price of the book, pages of the book, what should I do? I should use a dot operator between the variable name and the structure member name. Okay, so the structure members here are name, price, and pages. The variable name is book1. Okay, so book1 dot name, book1 dot price, book1 dot pages. Likewise, I can, with how many ever data members I have for a structure, by using this dot operator, I can call them and use them in my main program. This dot operator is called as a member access operator. Another way of accessing the members or another way of accessing the values of these members is this second syntax. While creating a variable or while creating a variable for the structure itself, I can directly assign values to its members also. How am I going to do this? By doing like this. Okay, so I am declaring the variable B1. Okay, struct book B1. And now for B1, I'm assigning values. But how am I going to do? Equal to, I'm opening a curly braces. Since name is a character array, I'm placing it within a double quotes, then put a comma, then give the price, put a comma, then number of pages. Close the curly braces and put a colon. Okay. So this method also I can use to access. Okay. Or else I can use the general scanf statement to access the corresponding structure members. Okay. While accessing, I have to use the variable name dot the member name.